I'd like to talk for a minute about PTSD. Now, I know that sounds a little bit like a public service announcement, and I don't mean it to. Audrey suffered from PTSD, its symptoms, as did Wes's granddaughter Rachel from my second book. On that topic, if you haven't read the follow-up story, Saving Rachel McCallie, you absolutely should, because it explains the PTSD side of things in more depth, and you can download that story for free. I was able to touch on the topic of PTSD in more depth in Rachel's story because we understand it better today than we did as a society during World War II. Over the years, PTSD has had numerous names. It was called shell shock during World War I, and then battle fatigue during World War II. Other names have included names like combat fatigue, combat stress reaction, soldier's heart, and even war neurosis. As my character in Rachel's story says, it seems that we're quite good at coming up with names, but it's taken us longer to develop treatments. In fact, we actually learn in Saving Rachel McCallie that Audrey, from the first book, was suffering from a condition called dissociative amnesia. It's a documented disorder that was more common during World War II than today, though we don't know why, except that it's brought on by trauma, with symptoms that are usually couched under the PTSD umbrella. Now, while PTSD has been called names like combat fatigue, you don't have to have served in combat to have PTSD touch your life. Victims of abuse or childhood trauma or serious accidents or any number of painful situations, they can all show symptoms of PTSD. I should probably interject here that all this talk of tragedy and trauma may make it sound like Saving Rachel McCallie is a depressing read. It's just the opposite. Rachel's story is inspiring, and I hope that's the point that the story teaches. Yes, PTSD can be debilitating, but it doesn't have to be. There are treatments today that we didn't have in Wes's time, and people can, with PTSD, still live amazing and fulfilling lives. Now, if you haven't read Saving Rachel McCallie and you're wondering who this Rachel character is, she is the granddaughter to Wesley Bowers, who is one of the main characters from In Times of Rain and War. I want to give you a hint about Rachel's story. So for her service in Iraq, Rachel was awarded a Bronze Star, a Purple Heart, and the Army Commendation Medal for valorous action in direct contact with the enemy. But it's not really the medals that make her story amazing, but rather a touching connection between Rachel and her grandfather. Now, if you haven't watched the interview that I do with Rachel, I'd suggest that next, though spoiler alert, only watch it if you've already read both books. If you haven't read either story and you're thinking, hey, I'll read the free one first, I'm biased, but I'm going to suggest that's a bad idea because it's going to spoil several plot points in the first story. So there you have it. I hope you enjoy the stories, enjoy getting to know Rachel, and then when you're all done, if you love the books, do me a little favor, recommend them to family and friends. Thank you very much.